All right, welcome everyone. This is week 7 of 8. No, this is week 5 of 6. Week 5 of 6 of the Fear Processing Seminar. And my name is Dharm Sidhu. I am trained as a naturopathic doctor here in Vancouver, but the ideas I'm sharing here are not based on naturopathic medicine. They're inspired by teachings of Mary and Jesus at Divine Truth. However, the ideas I'm sharing are still based on my own processing and does not represent divine truth at this point. I'm still figuring out the errors as I go. And that links right into what I connected to this morning. Last week, I was speaking about my block that I connected to, which is if I feel fear, that means I'm a coward. So I let myself feel I'm a coward. I feel I'm a coward. I feel I'm a coward. And I think that went on for maybe about a day and a half. Felt about it a little bit. And then I connected to some pretty powerful issues from my childhood, or have begun to connect to it. I'm beginning to find access to those emotions and memories, which I've been struggling to get to for 5 years now. So that's really cool that just working through that block gave me access to some emotions. And one of the issues I've been dealing with for a year now was this feeling that I'm a terrible person and that I have really dark qualities inside of myself, that I'm this horrible person inside. I have really dark motivations. And because I do have addictions, it kind of confirmed this feeling that I'm a terrible person. So I realized this morning that I've been negotiating with it all year. So I basically said to myself, okay, what are these terrible things? Let's face them. So I started to face that I had this addiction, I've done this damage, and it felt terrible. I was like in agony for like 7 months, feeling through it, and then realized that I'm treating myself very badly. I have a lot of judgments. So that kind of is being worked on. And then I started to feel this feeling of that I'm actually punishing myself and sabotaging myself by saying, because I'm a terrible person, I shouldn't have too much power or too much money or too much influence, because then I'm going to have more opportunities to be a terrible person. Then I'm really going to become a horrible person. So I realized that I'm actually holding myself back, going, if I become a millionaire, I'm going to be one of those horrible narcissists, and I'm just going to become this terrible person and blah, blah, blah. So now, so I started negotiating with that. I started to say, well, I'm more aware of addictions. I just got to feel those dark motivations emotionally. I can trust myself. It's okay. And then this morning, I started to have the same feeling again. The feeling hasn't disappeared. All this other exploration has helped me heal many things, but the feeling was there. I'm terrified that I'm a terrible person. I have very dark motivations inside. And that's when the penny dropped. What I have is I am afraid. I have fear that I'm a terrible person. I haven't processed the fear. Do you see the difference? I've been negotiating with it. I've been trying to answer to it. I've been trying to fix and heal and come up with ways to solve it. What I have is fear. I'm terrified that I'm a terrible person. I'm terrified that I have a lot of dark qualities inside of myself. And so I should have control over myself at all times and limit myself so that I don't let the beast out. It's a fear. So is it based on truth? Probably not, because fear represents a lie. So what I now need to do is process the fear itself. I haven't released the fear itself. I've been negotiating there with what I'm afraid of instead of feeling the fear. So now I'm going to let myself feel the fear that I feel I'm a terrible person and that I have dark qualities and that I should have a good grip on it and not let this darkness out because I'm going to do this terrible thing. It's the fear. So now I'm going to let myself process the fear, and hopefully by next week I'll have something to report on how it got created. And so obviously something happened in my childhood where I must have been told I'm a terrible person and I should accept blame and I should accept punishment. Now, those experiences are usually not based on any kind of truth. So I just got to process the fear and then remember how it got created, and then I'll be able to accept truth about it. So here's the thing about fear. If you have fear about something, you can't receive truth about it. And so if you can actually picture, if you can actually imagine and visualize your life, or you, not the world without fear, but you without fear, what would that even look like? And just come up with a visualization. Maybe do a vision board, maybe do a little story, do some imaginations about what would it be like if you had no fear, and the kind of choices you'll make, the kind of actions you'll take, what would that even look like? And that if you have no fear in that issue, you're able to receive truth about it. And therefore, you're actually going to make probably much better decisions because there's no fear. You can feel the truth and you're going to be guided into making loving choices. So that's something that I'm very curious about, that if I fear about something, I'm not in the truth about it. And if I'm not in the truth about it, how on earth am I going to know what to do? How am I going to navigate my life when I can't feel truth? That kind of feels scary by itself. So that's one good motivation for processing fear. And 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was speaking about how I need to love the sinner. I need to learn to love the me who is doing or have done terrible things. And when you can learn to love all your own emotions, you won't be so afraid of it. Or rather, if you release your fear, then you will learn to love all your emotions. And when you are being emotionally truthful, you're less in fear. So if you can just start becoming emotionally honest with, how am I really feeling right now? And as I judge my bad emotions, I don't want to let myself feel, because then it reminds me that I'm a terrible person. So you see the conundrum. But if I can just say, I'm really feeling bitter right now. I'm feeling resentful. I'm feeling competitive. Yesterday I was confessing to Grace that I was having all these feelings of, I feel like I'm just dying inside if I give anybody else credit, and how embarrassed I am about it. And it was like, I feel so terrible, but it felt good to just say, this is what it's like in here. I feel terrible. What is wrong with me? But it felt good to just emotionally be honest and go, here's where I'm at. And that somehow I'll process through it and then get to the truth about it. So those are my opening statements. And oh yeah, the third point I want to bring up is you do have to become aware of where you're currently at in terms of fear. So you have to acknowledge that currently my desire is, I don't want to feel fear. I don't want to even know I have fear. I deny that I have fear, or that when I feel fear, I go into blame. I blame somebody else for it. That's where I'm at right now. I don't have fear. I don't want to feel fear, or I believe the fear I live in. You have to know what your real desire is about fear at this point. My desire is, feeling fear is ridiculous. You're supposed to overcome it and just have a good life and don't dwell on it, or whatever it is. Let yourself emotionally connect to your true desire about fear. And just like what Anita was speaking about earlier, about her experiences. And that if she stays in the truth about it, she'll actually shift. And I had that many times this week. I have these feelings of, I don't want to remember. I kept going into addictions and I go, no, I just don't want to remember something right now, and I'm allowed. I don't want to remember. Fine. Okay. I am not going to remember this thing. And then I stopped engaging the addiction because I said, that's what I want to do. I'm allowed. And then the memories came. And it wasn't too bad. So, and because fear is about remembering things that were awful about your life in the past. That's what I believe, mainly what fears are about. Woo! Long spiel, 15 minutes of talking. That's a lot of talking. How's everybody doing? How's your week been in terms of looking at your blocks or working through your fears? Anybody want to start sharing? Stephanie, do you want to start? Yeah.
This week was like when I was looking at my blocks, it was I really don't want to deal with fear because I get very like freezing cold, physical cold.
Yeah.
And like and I have to logically check the thermostat, but I'm wrapped in blankets. Like I'm sure I'm gonna freeze to death if I feel this fear. Not in the same instance, but sometimes I also go, I don't want to feel fear because it's paralyzing. Like I am just now, it's not that I'm cold, but my body will not move. Like I am stuck in that paralytic state. Yeah.
Okay. So you were working through the blocks that I don't want to be paralyzed. I'm terrified of actually being paralyzed. I'm terrified of how cold I am.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you kept going. Did you actually feel like you froze a couple of times?
Yeah, there was a few nights where I went to bed sure that I wasn't waking up because I froze to death.
Okay.
You know,
And
like
how are you feeling about it now if you look back at that experience?
well, oddly enough, I don't take as hot of a shower anymore.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah, my internal thermostat is, I think, recalculating. I don't know what it looks like, but now when I'm really, really cold and I can check the logic of, okay, is my house freezing or is it just fear?
Yeah.
So I deal with the logic just to make sure I'm physically safe.
Yeah.
And then I let it go. And then
and it's okay to bundle up too. It's okay to bundle up going, I'm freezing right now and I gotta stay in it. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. And there are times when I would physically, part of my body, a limb will physically freeze. It won't move. Have you gone through those yet?
I touched on that this morning. Which was incredibly terrifying. I wasn't sure that my legs were ever going to work again.
Yeah.
Blood was moving so slow, like frozen molasses slow.
Yeah.
And okay, these things don't move.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So at this point, you don't know what it's about yet. You just have to stay in it and stay in it and stay in it. And then at some point you'll say, oh, it's about that. And then you'll work with more fears about having to work through that as you go. But that's really good. That's really good. And this is why you're like, oh, this is why I like hot showers. This is why I like hot drinks. This is why for me, I like hot countries because it takes me away from terror. And terror is like your bones. It's in your bones. You're cold in your bones. Yeah. All right. Good on you. Anita, can you share what you had shared earlier with us before the recording started?
Yes. Hello. I had it started with, earlier in the week, I had a tantrum.
Okay.
I got really angry. I was listening at an audiobook and I got really angry. So I had a big tantrum. And then a few days after, I got into fear.
Okay.
And had another tantrum the other day. And
And you were shaking?
So,
were you physically?
Yeah, I was shaking because it started in the morning. When I woke up, I was shaking 2 days in a row. Yeah.
Okay. How long will it last?
For an hour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it's uncomfortable, right? You're like, yeah, I'm scared right now. And then,
yes, and I was thinking also about things that scares me.
Okay. Oh yeah, to let it keep happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And then what you said earlier was that, and today you're going, I don't want to feel anything, right?
Yeah, I don't want to. Today I don't want to. No.
So my guess is that you released the fear about the memory, and now something is about to come up because that's when you suddenly shut down. So something is about to, it's now exposed and is able to come out.
Yeah, because I feel a lot of fear now when you say that. I feel fear.
But you know how to do fear. You know how to do fear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. And there are days when it'll last longer than an hour. You can just stay in it all day.
But it didn't feel so, when I do the shakes, it doesn't feel like it's such a long time. And it's wow, it's gone half an hour now. So yeah.
2 weeks ago, there was one day when I shook for 6 hours. Just kept going and going. And I kept about my day doing this and that. And I was like, it's been hours. And then last week, I found what it was going to be about. And it's like, whoa, I can see why that took months or even years of fear to get to that particular issue that I knew intellectually, but now I had to get into emotionally. I knew what it was about. So then you're like, oh, that makes sense. So I still have a process experience, but at least it's exposed. The fear has been released. So that's really good. Yeah. Wendy, did you do any more experiments?
So I did not, other than just looking, back at the videos and noticing that there's really not a lot of connection there anymore. One big thing, so I was going down my basement the other night and there was a spider sitting next to the light switch.
Okay.
And normally I would have freaked out, got my wife, she'd have had to kill it. I couldn't touch the right, because I think it's going to jump on me. And I just kind of noticed it and I'm like, oh, hey, turned on the light switch, went downstairs, came back up and said, okay, good night, buddy. And went on my merry way.
Did it take you to go, wait a minute, did I just spoke to a spider?
Totally.
Did you at some point went, what just happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that
That's
was kind of cool.
Beautiful reward.
So I think I'm at the point where I just want to, I'm done with fears. Since, kind of talking through this, with you guys and with Kellen, and then going through the experience, I realized how much of my life was just ruled by fear.
Yeah.
All the therapy that I've done in my life, why couldn't they have identified this, right? And I was
they're living in fear.
And I was a therapist myself, and I'm like, how much good I could have done if I'd known this, right?
Yeah.
So looking back and identifying how much people with my background just live in fear, and I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. And so
wow,
I'm looking for any opportunity to identify it and move through it. And then the other thing that I'm noticing is, which I wrote to you about last week, is tons of energy shifts. So
yeah, that's right. Can you describe that again?
Yeah, so I've done some energy work with some people here in Toronto, and when I'm having a shift, I yawn.
Right.
And so the thing that I noticed, I think I'm getting my brunch delivered to me now.
Life is good.
Yeah. So what I noticed is that when I'm having a shift, I yawn, and last week I did a lot of yawning. And I was really kind of, I was conscious of it. And so it's like, I yawn, and it's a deep, deep yawn, which I was trying to suppress.
Okay.
And then I remembered that the week prior, since I had done the challenge with the fears, I was all week I was experiencing, shifts. So I decided to slow down and start paying attention.
Okay.
And so even as we've been talking now, I've noticed some energy shifts.
Yeah. So
I've written it down, and it's something that I need to kind of pay attention to, look into. What's it bringing up for me?
Okay, good.
So,
that's a beautiful dedication that I'm done living with fear.
Yeah.
Which means that you want to become aware of the blocks, because even though you may intellectually say, oh my God, let's just go there already, the blocks were created in childhood. You do have to dissolve the blocks in order to access the fear. you do have to go through the process. It's like I still had to last week go through the block. I feel I'm a coward. The block existed, and it was literally blocking my access. Even though I've been shaking in fear for 4 years, I still had to release another block. So yeah, get through the blocks. And then when you get to a place where Jill is, where she said, I'm done with fear, and then she doesn't have as much blocks now. She's right in it.
That's cool.
Good work, Wendy.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's mind-boggling that in counseling and therapy, because the counselors are in fear, you're not going to touch it. And I found myself when I was working with people, if I don't want to feel an emotion, I will take them out. One time somebody was about to talk about something about shame, and she never even said something, but I felt suddenly I changed the topic. I got her off topic, and I went back after going, she was about to say something, and I deliberately changed the topic. What was coming up? And I was very blocked to feeling shame. Still am somewhat. And it took me a while to go, I don't want to feel my shame, so I shut her down. So then I got even more motivated that at least I need to not deny the emotion, even if I haven't processed it. Because then when it comes up with somebody else, I'm not going to shut them down. And fear, that's where it all begins. So yeah, good awareness there. Yeah. All right. Others that looked at their blocks? Sanjukta, did you get a chance to look at some of your blocks to fear?
I did. I had like this big wave. Sorry, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, very well.
I had this big wave of rage recently at myself over expressing needs.
Oh.
Yeah. Because I feel like if I express a need, then it opens me up to vulnerability. It opens me up to being disappointed, hurt, let down. So then it's which I directed the rage at my partner.
Yeah.
Which I didn't mean to, but after like sitting with it for a bit, I realized what the underlying fear of that was.
Okay. The fear of that all these other emotions will come up?
Yeah.
Like you'll be disappointed, you'll be taken advantage of. Okay.
Yeah. And maybe the core of that being that I'm not worthy of having needs met.
Oh, that's brilliant. Could you feel that feeling of unworthiness?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's really good. Took me years to realize that my issues are about worth. Okay, so what's happening there is that you don't want to express your need because you don't want to feel disappointment. You don't want to feel being taken advantage of. It's not even about being taken advantage of. You may be taken advantage of, but if you're not afraid to feel it, you won't let it stop you. See what I mean? It's the feeling you don't want to feel. And obviously you've experienced it from your past a lot. So when you get to a certain place where you're not afraid of your emotions, you'll express your need and may get taken advantage of, and then feel, I got taken advantage of, and release it and move on. So it doesn't stop those experiences. I mean, it limits it quite a bit, but I'm afraid to feel that I'm a fool. I'm afraid to feel laughed at because somebody took advantage of me. I'm afraid to feel humiliation. I'm afraid of emotions, not about whether or not that's going to happen to me. So once you clarify that, and I don't like to feel humiliation a lot. So I have a lot of defensiveness because I don't want to do or say anything that may make me be humiliated. I'm very defensive about it right now still. So, okay, good insight. And at this point, we're going to do things, we're going to treat people a certain way, and then you stop and go, oh God, what was going on there? And if you can reflect and learn from it, it's, we can't help it at this point. We're still engaging actions that are harmful. But if you can stop and reflect on it and walk away, you're still making very good use of that situation. Thank you. Nita, how you been this past few weeks?
I a few days ago I did go into like we got, like my partner and I, we got into a little argument, which over something so very silly, and then in his anger he said, "I hate you," and that completely got me, like I left to go for a car ride, and I was exhausted.
Okay.
My heart was beating. I was hyperventilating. I was like in a lot of fear.
Okay.
I managed to sit through it.
Wow. Okay.
And actually, like for several hours, I was in the car for several hours until I went home, and then.
Wow. Good on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then did it take you to some kind of grief?
Yes.
Okay.
I cried a lot that night.
Wow.
And I realized, I guess, I mean, like, I don't know, I feel like in like now that I'm out of it, I feel like that was a very extreme reaction. Like, I know he was in a moment of anger and he said, "I hate you." So, and then even the next day, he was like, "I don't know why I said that. I was just very angry." And he said that.
Yeah.
But it triggered, it took, like, threw me over the edge. It was extreme. I did not know what to do with myself.
Wow. Okay. Well, usually you have some kind of a desire to heal. You must have had a true desire of, I need to heal, or I really need to repair this relationship. There was some kind of a desire, some kind of a prayer, because then something will come and just pierce right through all of your blocks, go straight to the pain. And you were smart. You chose to go away and stay in it. Those were all choices. We could have shut it down, could have numbed it out, could have gone into blame. All these other things could have happened, but you chose every step of the way to stay in it. And now you can see probably that it had to be that precise and extreme for you to find the pain. Nothing else would have been able to cut right into it. Can you see now? Like, yeah, that's what it took, because I would have never gone into that pain in any other way.
Yeah, I guess I see that. And I mean, while I'm in it, I don't feel good or brave or that I'm doing it or I'm getting anywhere. I really feel like it's the end of the world, and I should just like give up on everything.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And Mira, what you were feeling was your childhood experiences. Those were what you felt as a child. There's no point to anything. I feel despair. There's no hope. I don't see a way out. My heart is completely broken. Somebody hates me. These were all the child's emotions, not the adult's emotions. And so you allowed a very deep healing. That's what you did. And when you're in the emotions, I'm usually saying, I don't think I'm doing this right. Am I doing anything? I'm just going around in circles. What am I doing? I don't understand. I think I'm stuck. I'm not doing this right. And then I'm out of the experience and I look back and realize I was actually doing it. Those things I was saying was the child's experiences. They were coming out. So good on you. That was a beautiful, And have compassion for why you needed something really precise and really painful to just get right through. Grace gets really excited about this. She loves how law of attraction has to be so precise to just cut right through it. And have compassion that the pain was so bad, it did take something pretty drastic to find and expose the pain, because somewhere in there you have a desire. I really want to heal my relationship with my partner. Or something, you have some kind of a prayer. Maybe it's about helping your children with something. So God then say, well, in that case, this pain that is so locked up under tons of Siemens block has to get exposed. I'm going to find the most loving way, least intrusive way possible to cut right through it. And that's a law of attraction event. And you were humble, you surrendered to the emotion, that's humility, and you chose to stay in it. So that's courage. Good on you. Now, if you can just do that a few thousand more times, everything's going to get good.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe it's what I like you said, it's what I needed to hear, and it's what I internally feel like. I know I don't necessarily like really like myself. So I needed to hear that.
Okay. Now you gotta. A child is taught to not like themselves. Every babies think they're one of the most wonderful thing ever. And they love being cherished, they love being loved, they just take it in. You have to be taught to not like yourself. And that's a sad thing. It's a sad thing to feel that about yourself. So when you feel that, just remember, this is a little child who thinks something's wrong with her and she shouldn't be liked. And so you want to be an advocate for the child and go, I got to get this pain out. It's a little kid believing this. This has got to come out. And I need to experience what God's truth is about this issue. So, like, I feel compassion for you going, ooh, I mean, I met you. It's like, that's a terrible thing for you to feel about yourself. I don't want that for you. So keep on. You did good there. That's brilliant. And even when you're blocked and you're going, I don't want to feel this, and you shut down for 2 weeks, and then you're like, it's okay. We're allowed. The process takes what it takes for you to keep going around and around in circles, working through it. And I find that as long as you're willing to feel your fears about whatever the issue is, you are going to be able to get through a lot of issues. And if you haven't released your fear, like I said earlier, I haven't released my fear that I'm a terrible person and I have dark stuff inside of me. So now I have to go back and finish the fear so that I can access whatever is under it. It's a thing you have to physically experience and release again and again and again. It's a technicality. So thank you, Nita. All right, others who wants to share? Casey, how you doing?
My God, this week has been so big.
Okay.
So my I think the one that I've been choosing to work on for a while is feeling rejected.
Oh yeah.
I was rejected.
Okay.
Anytime I expressed my true nature as a child, I was rejected every single time. So there's been a lot of anger with that.
Yeah.
Some sadness, but I'm more at this point going in and out of tantrum and fear that there's no worth. Like I must not be worth anything if I'm just being rejected all the time. A friend of ours did a dream walk for me the other night, and some pretty big things came out of that. A lot of it around being rejected and thinking that I need to have permission to live my life. So there's a lot. There's something else that I was going to say about that as well. Oh, that I have no voice, that I'm invisible. That's come out of that as well.
Okay. So when you're doing this, remember to keep asking for God's truth about it. Make a list of all your feelings on one side and then God's feelings on one side, where you're kind of guessing like, okay, I feel I have no voice. I feel I have no worth. I've been rejected. What else? A few other things you've said. Here's how I feel. Or here's how others want me to feel. Whenever I'm being my real self, nobody wants it. And then you go, because when you're in pain, in any way, you're out of harmony with how God feels about the issue in every situation.
Yeah, and that's the other piece that I realized I'm believing it.
Yes.
Like that I'm agreeing with it.
Exactly. So until you forgive the situation, you are agreeing with it. So you gotta, and the act of forgiveness is you feeling all the pain you're feeling, and then you will no longer agree with it. So I will usually start with how I feel about myself. Like Nita said, I don't like myself. I put that on one column, and then I expand on it a little bit and what I feel. And then I go, okay, my decision is I want to go from here to how God feels about it. So I am in harmony with God about that issue. Right. And then you're beginning a journey of releasing all the errors and then accepting God's truth about it. And because you desire to feel God's truth, it enters you very quickly. And actually, it's almost, I feel like it almost starts to like squeeze the other guy out. Get out of here, you're a lie. It very quickly heals the perception that we have. It's quite lovely. I did the mediumship group on Wednesday. No, this was Friday. And the experience I had with this group of spirits who were believing some terrible things about themselves. And then they don't want to remember, they don't want to feel, they were literally just numb out. And then like 50, 100 years will go by. They're just frozen, just lost. And so I started with this feeling how they're feeling about themselves. And then by the end of 20 minutes, I felt God giving God's feelings about it. And it just blew my mind that this feeling entered all of us and myself. This strong feeling of, I am not to blame. Like they knew without a doubt, I am not to blame for what happened. That was not my fault. And I'm thinking, 20 minutes? How did you do that? Like I'm talking to God going, what did you do? It was like, I felt like I watched an action movie and I saw a superhero in action and I'm just like, oh my God. So that's what I do when nobody's around. I freak out about stuff like this. Like, what? So, but I saw how an error was released and how powerfully God wanted that truth to enter and how much love and protection that gave us. The truth is a protection because when you feel the truth of, I have as much worth as everybody else from God's perspective, when you feel the truth, you're going to act differently and you're not going to accept certain things from your environment. Yeah. And you'll be very nice about it, but you'll be like, you can't treat me badly. I can't accept it. I know my value. That's beautiful, which is why people want us to stay in believing the lies and also to, and therefore stay in fear. Good work. It's going to be beautiful. But just keep remembering that you're doing this so you can feel God's feelings about it.
Thanks.
Thank you. Darren, how's your week been? You were having a pretty challenging week last week. Do you want to share where you're at?
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to talk about right now. I feel like I'm in the middle of a crisis.
Okay.
And I'm engaging with so many different approaches.
Yeah.
I'm taking a yoga teacher's training program. I'm working with human design. I'm working with divine truth. I'm working with all these things that I know about, seeking to find a way through. And if I had to say, I haven't done much fear work specifically, but I mean, it feels like I never stop doing work of some kind. Work or avoidance of work.
Yeah.
My life is a dialogue between those two things.
Yeah.
And what came up for me just now is, as I've been listening to these incredible sharings, is that I think I have a fear of taking responsibility for my life.
Yes.
Sorry,
I'm just smiling because it's like, well, that's all of us. So yes. 7.5 billion. You nailed it. Okay, you got it. Yeah.
I just want to blame.
Yeah.
I just want to stay feeling helpless.
Yeah.
And I'm just angry. I know that, I know whatever power is available to any of us isn't taking responsibility, but it's like, I just want to, and it's related to worthlessness too.
Always.
There's a connection somehow between those two. And I've got to this point so many times where it feels like a choice has to be made. Like
okay.
this place where it feels like I am at the ultimate choice point, and if you don't fucking get it this time, you're gonna die. You're going to be. I won't literally die. I'll just be one of these people that's completely worthless, completely rejected, and the person that you don't want to even look at on the bus because they look like such a wreck and they stink so badly. It would be great if I would die.
Yeah.
It would be great if I would die, but no, I'm not going to do that. But I have to continue existing, feeling like something that is abhorrent.
Yeah.
And I'm so exhausted because I've come up against this barrier so many times in my life, and it's like I still haven't gotten all the way through to a sense of self-love. Yeah. What is wrong? And again, I'm at that feeling that if I don't get something, that there's a sense of losing my chance.
Yeah.
That I'll never get another chance.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of terror there too.
Of course. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, what I want to suggest 2 things to you right now, Jared. One is that you're actually feeling the child's feelings. I think you're in your causal emotion. You are currently allowing the little child to grieve how he felt or how his environment made him feel. And that he has no worth, and that somehow you can do something to gain it. But you're currently in your child's pain. And if you can just surrender into it and not judge it, you're actually in the healing pain. This is what you were looking for. When we're working through fear and terror, we're looking for the cause. You're in the cause. And that ultimately what you want is to feel how God feels about your word. And once you feel how God feels about your word, that's some really deep healing. That your worth was never an issue. No one could have ever taken it away, even though they made you feel worthless. There's something no one can negotiate with. And it's never been God. But you just needed to surrender to times when people made you feel worthless. And that's what you're doing right now. So just surrender. Don't be angry. And all you have to do is what you're doing right now, and it's going to end. You're in it. But the goal is to feel God's feelings.
I prayed for that feeling, and so it would be nice if that would come soon.
Yes.
But at this point, it feels like...
Oh, it's terrible. It's very, very terrible.
It's not a feeling of other people having rejected me at this point. It's a feeling of my having rejected myself.
But you were taught to do so by your environment, your early child environment.
Maybe, but it's you spoke a couple of weeks ago when we were talking, not here but elsewhere, that you need to be a parent. You need to stand as a parent to your own inner child and be willing to put up a barrier against that negativity, against that pain, or against that sense of rejection. And it's like, my adult self is hurting so much at the same time that I can't even stand as a parent to myself. You know, and it feels awful.
Well,
it feels like I am fundamentally defective.
Okay, so that's the causal emotion. That is beautiful that you're feeling that. But the addiction you keep getting stuck into right now is, if only I can blame myself. I really want to just keep blaming myself for my condition or for what my environment did to me. That's the piece of the addiction that's causing some really uncomfortable pain. So just see the addiction, that I want to blame myself, instead of feeling that it was my environment that failed me. You're still trying to protect the abusers from your childhood and wrongfully blaming yourself. And because from God's perspective, that's not the truth, you're damaging yourself. Because you got to feel God's truth about what happened.
I mean, what is the difference between blame and responsibility?
Ooh,
it's like,
brilliant question. Yes.
It's like if I take responsibility, try and claim my power, that feels like I have to blame myself, and it's my responsibility that I fucked up.
Yeah, that's self-blame and that's self-rage, and that is not healing. Your responsibility is to allow the emotions to be released, which is also what you're doing right now, if you can not judge what you're going through right now. The responsibility is, we're responsible for every emotions we carry that we did not create. Childhood experiences we did not create, but we're now responsible in having to feel and release them. That's responsibility. So you're in some beautiful emotions. You just got to pull out some of those addictions there. Just pull out the self-blame. And yeah, the question of what is the difference between self-blame and self-responsibility? That is the question.
I'm afraid of blaming others.
Okay. There you go. But it's not you who's
like only me. It's like to blame others feels like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like only I can be blamed.
Which is not God's perspective.
I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, that's okay. Just listen to this later. But what you want is, from God's perspective, a child was harmed by its environment. That's God's truth about it. So God needs you to feel those emotions so that you can forgive those that harmed you. That's what God wants. But it has to be God's perspective. It has to be God's truth about the situation. So even though God also has compassion for the parent that's doing what they're doing, and God also has forgiven them, but the child has to experience that from God's perspective, you were wronged. Now, God doesn't have anger or judgment towards those who wronged you, even though sometimes I think he should. But God doesn't have those feelings. God only has compassion and forgiveness for those that harmed you. But God's laws were broken in how her children were treated. And God's kind of picky about that. She's pretty tenacious about all these laws were broken, which created all this pain in my child, that now my child is responsible in releasing, so that you can truly forgive what was done to you. And so you're not actually going to blame your parents or whoever harmed you. You're actually going to forgive them by releasing the pain that is based on God's perspective about it. God's truth. So when I get into pain and I feel like, oh, I shouldn't make my mommy feel bad because I'm feeling all this feeling and it's poor mommy and it's not her fault and she's desperate and making me feel, oh, please feel sorry for me. I can feel all this feeling in the child. Then I go, God, what's your truth about this situation? Then I receive the experience and I go, oh no, it's even more pain than I think. Oh no, she really messed up. So now I'm really letting the child feel her anger about it. But then I actually come out of it feeling more compassion for my parent. More compassion for my parent going, oh man, that person has earned a lot of pain. That's going to be hard for that person to work through at some point. And I'm having more compassion. And I'm feeling freer because until I forgive, I actually am in anger. And while I'm in anger, I'm locked in this cycle of anger and rejection and violence with that other person. We're actually trapped together in this loop of pain. But if I surrender to the pain and actually forgive, I release the pain. And then the other person's conscience really gets activated. So sometimes what's happening is when we connect to the child's pain, the parent's conscience is being bothered. Even if they've passed, their conscience is being bothered. And they come at you going, but I did my best. Please don't make me feel bad for what I did. But they can't heal unless they feel what they've done. And it's actually very healing for parents to feel, wow, this is what I did to my children. That was awful. And it actually heals me to feel it. You know, I temporarily feel bad about what I did, but then I heal the cause. And until you remember what you've done, you can't heal it. So you're actually going to give true love and forgiveness to your environment by surrendering to what was really done to you. And the self-blame is how your environment twisted it onto you, that you should accept blame and you should allow their abuses. So it's beautiful that you're feeling that, Darren. Just pull that addiction of blame out.
I'll have to listen to it again. It's like hardly anything that you said was good.
But thank you for being vulnerable and being open here. That's beautiful that you're letting yourself feel that. That's a beautiful pain. It's just that tough step of surrender versus something else. And I have been in self-punishment and self-blame myself this whole year, and it took a lot of pain to realize that I'm actually attacking myself about the abuses. And now what's healing in the child is I am not to blame. That is God's perspective. So now when I connect to the hurt child, oh, there's this self-empowerment. There's this confidence that's waking up in this little kid going, you mean I'm not to blame for what happened? And I'm like, no. It's just this other part of me waking up in accepting God's truth. And what's so beautiful is that when this child accepts that I am not to blame, I don't want to be mad at anybody. I just want to go on and go play, go live my life. I'm done. I'm not to blame. Boy, am I relieved. Moving on. I have no desire to see or care about what happens to those that did it to me. I'm just happy to be free of it. So that's kind of a beautiful thing to see what the child inside of me really wants when she's given truth and is allowed to heal. Yeah. Most times I like the little kid I am inside. No, I mean, all times. All time I see the real kid inside of me and I'm like, that is one cool kid. What a loss that my environment could not appreciate what the gift they had. This kid is really spunky. It's really cool. So you generally start really liking who you really are in there, if she was ever allowed to speak and express herself. And I know some of Darren's history, so I can say on his behalf, even though he's not, that he was treated very terribly. And you know, the environment were in their own pain. I get that, but no, it was pretty bad treatment. And so I feel for the little kid in you, and I hope he lets it out.
It's strange to hear you say that because it's like nothing. It's like, why is there so much pain in me? It wasn't that bad. I mean, you have your stories. You know, it's like, it's, you know, you know what, I don't know if that makes sense, but that's, it's like.
For me, the big shift that happens when I work with people is when because it's me saying, do you not see how bad it was? It may take me years to keep advocating. It was really bad. Did you get it? And then someday you start to say, oh my God, it was really bad. And I go, my job is done. You got it. And it's coming from compassion. And you finally can let it out. My job is to advocate for the child. It's like I'm a little kid's lawyer to defend the child. Say, that was bad.
I like that. I like that image.
Yeah.
You know, being the prosecutor, I don't know what it would be, but being a lawyer for your own kid or something.
So I'm fighting you to defend the little kid in you against you. It's
like looking for reparations, you know, and it's like, you know, there was some damage done, you know, maybe that's worth about $5,000 in compensation, and your prosecutor's saying, what the, you know, what are you talking about? You know, that's, you know, we're going for $1 million or whatever, because, you know, in terms of the value, or in terms of the damage done. Anyway.
Well, what I've heard from one of the lectures is that God does make compensation for the damage that was done to you, so that by the point I don't know at what point it happens, and I'm really hoping to experience this, or maybe I already have and don't realize it, but that by the time you feel the pain and you release it, you are actually then rewarded. Like, not only what you've lost is regained. You gain back what you lost, the parts of you that you lost. But God also made correction for all that you've lost from not being able to express your true self, or there's some kind of a compensation that happens when the victim is surrendering and releasing and forgiving. Something gets replaced back to you. Not just what you lost, which to me at this point, I'm just happy to get that little kid back, that those parts of my nature restored is already enough for me. I feel good. And I'll make different decisions for myself because I feel God's truth about my value, my worth. But then from what I'm seeing when I work with spirits and doing spirit mediumship, I feel like they get compensated for what they went through. There is something that happens. So we'll see how we experience it as we keep healing. Wendy?
Can I share how I'm connecting with this? So you just talked about, Dharm, about reflecting to people that, you know, it really was bad.
Yeah.
And how difficult that is for people to hear. What that brought up for me is when people started telling me that I was a survivor.
Yeah.
And I could not connect to that.
Okay.
And so that's coming up again now, is not from it was really bad perspective, but from the perspective that I'm a survivor.
Okay. What does it bring up for you?
Well, I think it came up when I was even doing the fear challenges, like the watching the videos, is I'm in control. Yeah. And the height ones, that I'm in control.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's part of, and actually what I had written down that day was something along the lines of, God damn it, you survived. What is doing this going to do to you?
Okay. Okay. And you're owning that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
Because when you're a victim, you're just feeling like, I didn't have a choice about being a hero or being strong or being a survivor. It wasn't an option. If I was given an option, I would rather not be all of those things. I don't want those qualities. It's not something I could choose. So that's how I feel when I'm being acknowledged for my experiences. It's like, I'd rather have what you had. I don't care for that title. So, but now that I'm connecting to what the child was experiencing, I'm going, that kid was a hero. Like, what qualities did that child have that she could even endure an hour of it, never mind 29 years? of it. Like, I'm trying to remember her experiences. I can't last 5 minutes. And it's like, you just really start to adore and appreciate that little child. That's tremendous, tremendous capacity to endure. It's just, wow. And you feel even more, sorry, Wendy?
It didn't kill us. So what are we so afraid of? I mean, because it's not like it's happening right now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We've already been through it, and it didn't kill us then, so why should it kill us now?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's kind of a cool thing.
Good that you're owning those qualities about yourself.
Yeah.
Grace, do you have any feedback, comment on what you've been listening? Other people's experiences?
What Darren was saying really struck me. I'm just thinking back to my story, and a lot of you know my backstory, but I'll just briefly. So my birth mother passed away when I was 10 months old. She died of cancer. She had cancer when I was conceived. I should have been aborted if the doctor had his way. My stepmother came into the picture when I was, I think, about 2 or 3. So my birth mom died. My father checked out emotionally. He never checked back in. My stepmother came into the picture when I was 2 or 3. I didn't hear any of this until I was about 27, 28. I heard it from a family friend. So I had to confront my parents about this.
Because they said that your stepmom was your birth mom.
Yeah.
Like they lied about it. Yeah,
they lied. But what I was kind of connecting to was, so I think our very first session together, Dharm and I remember walking into her room, and basically one of the first things out of my mouth was, "Oh yeah, I killed my mom."
It was the last thing as you were about to walk out the door.
Oh, with the last thing. I left a parting gift. Like, here,
I'm just going to take this little sentence out and walk out because we're done with our session.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Drop a bomb and see ya.
I heard a whisper. I was like,
but basically what I wanted to say about that was, I think I blamed myself. I blamed myself for all of it. I blamed myself for my father not being available in every sense of the word. I blamed myself for, any mistreatment that came on my half-sister, which, as it turns out, she's my half-sister, which is crazy. I blamed how my stepmother treated me, which wasn't so nice a lot of the time. So it was a lot of because of that lie, I blamed myself for basically anything that went wrong in my life and my parents' lives and my sister's life. It was my fault because I caused my mother's death. Yeah. So it's taken a really long time to kind of unravel all of those layers, a lot of anger, a lot of crying, a lot of misdirected anger. A lot of it was directed at myself, self-rage, self-punishment, all of those kinds of things. And then it was directed at my parents, and then it was directed at God, and then it was directed at the environment. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is it took a lot of layers because it was a lot of layers of shit to work through. So I feel for where you're coming from, Darren. I know that place. I know where it feels like I don't even know where to begin. This just is totally unfair. I hate myself for everything that's happened. How can I even possibly begin to fix this? But as Dharm was saying, it sounds like you're in it. It sounds like unfortunately it takes feeling hopeless, and it takes feeling like I should just die. Yeah. That would be easier. Yeah. Yeah. It's a process. It's just, you're in it. So you're doing it, even though it feels like you're not doing it in the moment.
But Grace had to confront the lies she was believing. I killed my mother. That took years to go, emotionally to go, what is wrong with that sentence? Yeah. And to now emotionally accept. Do you now emotionally feel no, I didn't?
No, not at all.
But it took, she had to accept the truth about it. Mm-hmm. And to confront that if I'm believing a lie, I'm not going to heal. It will never end. This pain will never end. I'm believing a lie. I'm grieving a lie. It's just keep stinging myself.
But I totally believed it. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
It is my fault.
Yeah.
I did it all, which is ridiculous. I was an infant.
Now you can think about it.
Now. Yeah.
We all have many of these feelings inside of ourselves that we're believing, that the child is believing. So you can't just berate the child and go, that's not true. You have to emotionally connect to and then confront it. Like I have to go, okay, God, show me how this is a lie. Show me how this is wrong. Help me feel why this is wrong so that the child can be educated. And then the grief that you had to feel, Grace, was that I was blamed for her death. That was a true feeling.
I was blamed, and also my parents made a choice. They made a choice to harm me. They made a choice to continuously feed me this lie. They made a choice to, maybe not consciously cause me all this harm, but they did by their actions. They did. And my father was the hardest one to sort of reconcile my brain with, because like, how do you get mad at a widower? Like, what the hell kind of monster am I if I can, like,
but that's his projection. Do you see how he compared to you as a child? Please feel sorry for me.
Yes.
That's what we do as parents. I've done as parents and probably still am doing.
But Dharm's right. Like I haven't worked through all of it, but I've worked through a lot of the anger towards them. And you come out on the other side just like, they came from shit too. They dumped their shit onto me, and like it wasn't fair, but like I have compassion for why that happened, why those choices were made, why those projections were made. I couldn't say that a year ago. A year ago I wanted them both dead.
Yeah.
But
you have to go through it. You have
right?
to go through the anger.
But now I'm like, oh, okay, like they kind of shouldn't have been parents.
Yeah.
Really.
That's like all of us.
Yeah.
Good on you. Thank you, Grace. Okay. Whew. This is beautiful. So, wow, we're one more next week. Keep letting yourself feel through what you're feeling. And I wanted to share what I got. I did some channeling last week about how does fear affect our relationship. I can't remember if I spoke about this last week. Fear affects our relationship with our spirit guides and with God, because fear makes us believe that we're not going to be taken care of, that we have no value or worth, that we'll be forgotten or abandoned, and we make decisions based on these lies that are not for our highest good. We spend all our energy to cope and to have codependence with each other instead of seeking to express our desires. We do not seek truth, which strongly affects our ability to connect to our spirit guides and God. See, our spirit guides get involved when we're seeking truth. God gets involved when we're seeking truth. But when we're in fear, we're in lies. We're not asking for truth until the pain gets really bad. So, and we continue to expect that the experience of our early environment that failed us will continue, and we'll live in this resigned despair and anger and hopelessness, which is some of us have spoken of today. And how does fear affect our relationship with abundance? We cannot at all imagine a world or a system where our needs will indeed be taken care of. So we therefore negotiate with the world as it is, and we try to fit in. We don't try to come up with a solution. We don't engage with our desires. We're not looking for novel, unique ways to express our gift, or novel solutions to problems that will bring solutions and abundance to everyone. And how does fear affect our health? It breaks down our bodies. It attacks our energy flows. It attacks our cells. And the action we take to suppress or live in fear causes wear and tear. And fear keeps us in despair. And this also damages our body because we're staying in despair. Fear that we'll never be lovable keep us from treating ourselves with love and care, and stop us from seeking love from God. Like, you can actually ask God, can I have your love? And the substance pours into you, and it feels terrific. Like, it heals, it rejuvenates, it restores, but we don't even ask, because in our fear, we believe we are unlovable. We believe we are unworthy. So how are you going to ask for God's love? Like, I'm trying to convince everyone, God is like this parent that you get to chatter with all day long. And the idea is so difficult to wrap our heads around because we feel whatever we feel in our fears. And so, and it also then keep us accepting terrible treatment from others. If we can't go to God to get love because we don't ask for it, then we're going to accept second best whatever we get from our environment. So we will put up with terrible things from others. And once you process the fear and release the grief of feeling unlovable, you will reconnect to self-love and you're going to start making different choices for yourself. So these are just some of the questions I ask about how fear affects us. So the more you can ask these kind of questions, like how is fear affecting me? Show me the damage I'm actually living in right now from staying in fear. And sometimes I even ask, if I were to process this fear, what would it look like? And I get this feeling will awaken in me, this certain type of tremor or trembling, it will awaken. God will actually awaken the fear you need to release. And then you feel it and you're going, wow, that's really a lot. But let's keep going, or I'll come back to this. But God will actually give you the emotion. Sometimes I'll just sit there and going, okay, God, what emotion can I process right now? Boom, something come up. And I'm like, you always go for the, like, do you really have to go to that big one? Could you not have given me something smaller? It's usually my reaction to God. So at some point I'm like, I'm not even asking you anymore. You're just going to give me the worst. But of course, God is saying, this is the one causing you the most pain. If you can get this out, you'll be happier. But you can actually ask God, what emotion can I process and release right now? Or what will this emotion feel like if I were to process it? And it gets awakened. So you do get a lot of help. But do ask for God's truth about the situation again and again and again. You're believing a lie. You cannot fathom what the truth is, but you got to ask for it so that you can become even more clear the lie that you're believing in that moment. Okay. This has been, I just love this group. This peer processing group has just been fantastic. All of you contributing has really made this phenomenal. And I keep getting the feedback from everybody. Like everybody loved the group. So you are all saying how much you love everybody else in this group right now based on your contribution and sharing. So I really appreciate it. So next week is the last one. So if you want to do some experiment of working through some blocks or actually processing some fear, and then come back and share your experiences, we can really learn from each other. And after this one, I'm probably going to start some kind of a awakening intuition workshop so we can practice some intuition, which is my favorite topic. All right, everyone, thank you so much, and I'll see you next week. Okay,
Bye.
bye. Bye.